Welcome to Live DAF, your online DAF Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's DAF Hayomi Maseches GITTEN DAF Memtes. We are holding right on top of the Amid, and let's just briefly review the beginning of this sugya, which was based on the Mishnah, which tells us three things. Hanizaken, shaman lahem be'idis. So how does one pay for damages? If you inflicted damage on one's property, one's animal, how does he pay other than actually paying with money? If he has no money, what does he pay with? So suppose he pays with his own property. What type of property? Let's say he has many qualities. He has top quality A, he has medium quality B, and inferior quality property C, A, B, and C. Which property does he pay with? Now, typically, a person would rather accept a piece of even a smaller piece of the higher quality property rather than a larger portion of inferior grade property. So how does this work? Mishnah says, Nizaken shaman lam be'idis. So when it comes to paying for damages, you must give your best. When it comes to a Ba'al Chayv, so if one defaults on his loan, he uses medium quality property to pay up that loan. Beinanis. When it comes to paying up the Ksubas Isha, you go with Ziburis, according to one Shita, according to the other, Beinanis. Now the Gemara had a kasha, because the Mishnah says it's all about tikkun ha'olam, to benefit society. So, for instance, why do you pay your best to compensate for damages? Why is hanizak and shaman lehen be'idis? Tikkun ha'olam. What do you mean? It's a pasuk. Pasuk says when one damages, he must compensate using his highest grade, highest quality land. Meitav sadehu yishalem. Meitav, the best. That was the kasha. So Abaye says, we're going according to Shitas Rabbi Yishmael. There's a machlokes between Rabbi Kiva, who says, how do we evaluate? How do we appraise? What's considered best? What's considered the worst? Relative to whom? To the mazik, the one who inflicted the damage? His best, or based on the nizak's best? The victim's highest quality, highest grade property. So Rabbi Kiva says it's based on the mazik. Rabbi Shmuel says based on the nizak. Says Abaye, our Mishnah follows Rabbi Yishmael. If you have a piece of land which matches the best grade, the best quality land that the nizak has in his possession, that's all you have to give. You don't have to go higher and give your best. That's Minat Torah. Comes the Mishnah. We play tikkun ha'olam in order to discourage people from being careless, to present another deterrent. We require the mazik to pay his best. So that's Abaye's approach. And in fact, what exactly is the machlokes between Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Akiva? So the Gemara says on top, we're going to analyze their machlokes. This is Rabbi Acha Bar Yaakov explaining that we're speaking about a case kigoyin, for instance. Shahoisa ides de nizik, kiziburis de mazik. So we have Ruvain the mazik, Shimon the victim, the nizik. Shimon has, let's say, two pieces of land, quality A and quality B. Okay? And the mazik also has two pieces of land, quality A and quality B. And it so happens that the mazik, Ruvain's quality B, matches in quality, in grade, the best karka of the nizik. So quality B of the mazik equals quality A of the nizik. Okay? So the question is, what is he going to pay? Can he get away with giving his quality B, which matches the idis of the nizik? That's Rabbi Shmuel Shita. Rabbi Kiva says, no. You have to give your best. So the mazik has to give quality A, his quality, relative to himself. So all agree you don't have to give more than you have, meaning you don't have to go buy let's say the nizak's quality A surpasses yours, you only have to give your best. There's no question, you don't have to go past that. But do you even have to do that? Or can you suffice with just giving your poor quality land which matches, which corresponds to the best quality land in the hands of the nizak? Rabbi Shmuel says yes. Rabbi Kiva says no. You have to give your quality, your best. So the best of the nizak matches kiziburas the mazik, the worst of the mazik. Rabbi Shmuel savar b'nizak shaminan. The mazik gets away by giving the worst because it matches, it equals the best quality of the nizak. Rabbi Kiva savar b'demazik shaminan. One must give his superior quality karka. So this is a biased teretz. We know there's a machlekes here. According to Rabbi Shmuel, you can get away giving less than Rabbi Kiva. Still, the Mishnah says no. To present a deterrent, to discourage people from being careless with other people's property. We say, look, you damaged, give your best. That's tikkun oilam, that's midrabanan. But minat Torah, according to Rabbi Shmuel, the mazik gives his ziburis, his worst, because it matches the nizak's best. My Talmud Rabbi Shmuel, why is it so that according to Rabbi Shmuel, it's valued based on the nizak's properties? Nemra sadal amata. Because if you take a look at the pasuk, Shmuel's chav beis, pasuk daled. Pasuk says, well, if he damaged his friend's field, or bir bisdei acher, so the sada here is the victim's field, what happens? What is the consequence? You have to compensate. Meitav sadeh, the best of his field, or meitav karma yishalim. So in this same pasuk, we have sada lamala, beginning of the pasuk, describing the damage inflicted to his friend's sada. And then we have the word sada lamata, further down in the pasuk. The best of the field has to be paid. Question is, which field? How do we appraise this? Best of whom? Best of whose field? Nemra sada lamata. We have the word sada on the bottom of the pasuk. Meitav sadeu yishalim, in terms of compensating. But nemra sada lamal, we have the word sada further back in the pasuk. The damage inflicted to the sada of his neighbor. Ma sada hamur lamala, the nizak, just as the sada describing the damage is describing the nizak's field, the victim's sada, of sada hamur lamata, the nizak. Likewise, the words meitav sadeu yishalim, the best of his fields, will have to be paid. Best of whose fields? Again, the same person, the nizak. That's how Rishmal gets to his sheet. The appraisal based on the victim's fields. Rabbi Kiva savar no. Meitav sadehu yishalim. The simple meaning of the pasuk is a reference to the payer, the perpetrator, the mazik, the best of his fields. Meitav sadehu yishalim. The hayach to come yishalim. It's going on the payer, the best of his fields. Rabbi Shmuel responds by saying, okay, I have Gzeira Shava, which proved my point. Then, of course, we have the simple meaning of the pasuk, which alludes to Rabbi Kiva. It's about the mazik, right? We can reconcile both. We can apply both. Ahani Gzeira Shava, we can apply the Gzeira Shava. V'ahani Kra, we could also learn from the simple meaning of the pasuk. And there's no conflict. How? Ahani Gzeira Shava, look at the Amar. We apply the Gzeira Shava as we just said. It's based on the best quality of the nizak. Ahanikra. How do we apply the simple meaning of the pasuk, alluding to the best of the mazik? When does that happen? It happens in the following case. Di islay lemazik izik v'ziburis. So again, the mazik, Ruvain, who did the damage, has A quality and B quality, the best and the worst. V'ziburis the day lo shavya ki idis the nizik. Now, Ruvain the mazik has A and B, best and worst. And the nizak, Shimon, also has A and B. But this time they don't match up. The A quality of Shimon the nizak falls right in between, right in the middle of the two qualities that Reuven possesses. So in effect, the B quality of Reuven doesn't really match up to the best quality of Shimon. Question, what does he do? Does he just get away by giving his worst? Or do we say no? Since it doesn't really match up to the idus of Shimon, so you have to go a step higher. You have to pick it up a notch. You have to upgrade it and give your best, even though it surpasses the Nizak's best. And that's what the pasuk is teaching us. Typically, you don't have to go higher than Shimon's best. But if you can't match up to it, then you have to give your best, even though it's a bit higher than Shimon's best. And that's what we learn from Meitav Sodehu Yishalim. At times, you have to give your best. If the lower quality of yours doesn't match up to what's required. So, Ahanikra, that's what the pasuk is coming to tell you. Meitav Sodehu Yishalim. Mazik has to give his best. Di'i islay la mazik izik v'ziburis. If the mazik has the best and the worst on his side, but it doesn't really match up with ziburis today, but his ziburis doesn't match up. Lo yishavik idus nizik doesn't equal in quality the best of the nizik. So you can't just be yaitse with that. You can't get away with that. Rather, you have to upgrade it. The mishal leiman meitav. Rather, you have to go to your best, even though it's a bit more than you really have to give. Okay, so summation. Rabbi Shmuel focuses on the nizak, with an exception for this case. Rabbi Akiva focuses on the mazik, and it's all about a question of how does a mazik pay? Which idus? His own idus, or do we rate it based on the grades of the nizak? That's Minat Torah. Says Abaye. Well, our Mishnah is coming to tell you, Midrabanan, even Rabbi Yishmael would agree. We penalize you, you have to give your best, and this is to discourage recklessness of the mazik. Now the Brisa continued. Rabbi Kiva Aimer loy boha kosev ela ligbois l'nezakim in idis. Right, the pasuk is coming to tell you that when it comes to compensation for damages, you have to give your best. And he adds the next words, and certainly this applies to a situation of hegdish damages. We're going to try to decipher these words. What does this mean? Does that mean to say that, for instance, our shor, our bull, struck down a shor belonging to hegdish? And here as well, it says, Rakio, you have to pay your best. Idus. Problem is, it's not so. Because the Torah clearly says, the halachos of a shor being negeach another shor and the ensuing consequences only applies to private people, not to hegdish. Shor re'eu amar Rachmana. Torah clearly alludes to your fellow Jews. Shor v'lo shor shal hegdish. So how can you say that by striking down a shor or hegdish you have to pay, you have to compensate, etc., etc.? Ella, rather, Rabbi Kiva must be speaking about something else. When is there an idis payment required? A person commits, I'm going to give a mana, large amount of money to the Bedek Habayis, to the Beis HaMikdash. So he donated this amount of money. When it comes to payday and he doesn't have money, the Asi Gizber, the administrator of Hegdish, will come along with Shakel Midis and take his best properties. Is that what Rabbi Kiva meant to say? That's also problematic. You know why? At worst, at the most, this commitment renders him a Baal Chayv. He owes money to Hegdish, right? We all know the Mishnah. How does a Baal Chayv pay? With Beinunis. There's no need to pay Idus. Why would he have to give Idus to Hegdish? Perhaps Rabbi Kiva will hold Baal Chayv Shakel Be'idus. Maybe Rabbi Kiva disagrees. He holds every Baal Chayv pays the best. Kinazakin, just like when it comes to damages. Well, says the Gemara, even if that's true, when it comes to a private person, it shouldn't apply to a Hegdish. Ikal Mifrach, because you can refute this correlation. Remember, an ordinary Baal Chayv to an ordinary citizen is different than Hegdish, because by an ordinary citizen, he has power to collect Idis when it comes to damages as well. As opposed to a Hegdish related matter, where Hegdish is at a disadvantage because they don't collect when it comes to damages. As we just explained before, there's no chiv to pay when one damages Hegdish. So how can you why would you conclude that a Baal Chayv of Hegdish has to pay Idis like Nizakan? That works well by a private person who has Nizakan. So you say, well, there it's Idis and Baal Chayv is Idis. But by Hegdish, where there's no Nizakan Idis, perhaps there shouldn't be Baal Chayv Idis as well. You're right, says the Gemara. Let's go back to the first case. The Nagche Tura Dedan, the Tura de Hegdish, was speaking that our bull gored a bull belonging to Hegdish and damaged it or killed it. On this, Rabbi Kiva says, you have to compensate, and in a very big way, with your best, with your highest quality field. The question was, the pasuk says, Sheir Re'eu. There is no chiyuv in this case. The answer is Rabbi Kiva Saval Rabbi Shimon ben Nasya. He holds like this sheet of Rabbi Shimon. Just the opposite. True, the Torah speaks about goring Sheir Re'eu, but instead of learning a kula, that one is exempt when he strikes Hegdish's animal, just the opposite. Typically, if it's a non-Hegdish, we have a whole system, a staggered system, where if it's a Sheir Tam, right, then it's only 50% payment. If the Sheir Mu'ad, the habitual gorer, he pays 100%. But when it comes to Hegdish, he doesn't get these discounts. That only applies to Sheir Re'eu, your friend's Sheir. But Sheir Hegdish, you're 100% responsible. So sure, there's a distinction. But Lo Chumra, the Sanya. Rabbi Shimon ben Nasya Eimer, Sheir Shal Hegdish, Shenagach L'Sheir Shal Hedid Potter. True. It's a one-way deal. If Hegdish strikes your Sheir, he's Potter. V'Shal Hegdish, Shenagach L'Sheir Shal Hegdish. But the other way around, if you strike a Sheir Shal Hegdish, woe to you. Ben Tam or Ben Muad, whether he's a Sheir Tam, does not have a track record, or if he has a track record, either way, 100% responsible. Mashalom Nezek Shalim. So that's the case. There was a negicha, there was a damage, and you're responsible 100%. And Rabbi Kiva is telling you, look, just like if it's a private damage, it's idis that you have to pay your own best. Likewise, when it happens to Hegdish. So bottom line, they're having two different machlokes here. There are two separate disputes in this price between Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Kiva. Firstly, a basic machlokes. How does one compensate in terms of damages? Yeah, the best of whose? How do you calculate that? Rabbi Shmuel says the nizak, Rabbi Kiva says the mazak. Number two, if there should be hezek to hegdish, is there a response? Is there chiyuv to pay on that? Rabbi Kiva says yes, based on Rav Shimon ben Nasya's drasha. Asks the Gemara, if that's the case, that Rabbi Kiva is introducing a new chiyuv in terms of being mazik hegdish. Then how do you know there are two machlokes in this price? Maybe that's all they're discussing. Maybe that's all they're arguing about, whether or not there's a chiyuv for being mazik hegdish. Is it worse the mazik pligi? How do you know there's a general discussion if the idis of the nizik matches the disburse of the mazik, right? And the question is, do I pay his best or pay my best? Maybe all agree that if it's a question of grading my land or grading his land, it's all about his best grade. There's no machlokes on that first point. What then is the machlokes? Only regarding the second point. They're arguing about Rav Shimon ben Nasya's machlokes with the Rabbanan, whether or not there's a chiyuv for being mazik hegdish. Maybe that's all what it's about. Nothing more. Rabbi Kiva savar lo Rav Shimon ben Nasya that you're chayiv on your mazik hegdish. Rabbi Shmuel savar lo Rabbanan, you're not chayiv. That's all what it's about. There's no general question of mazik and nizik. We have three problems with that, three kashas. Imkain, because that's the case. Rabbi Kiva said, Loi baha kosav elo ligubis nzakim and edis. And then he said, V'kavachem el hegdish. It sounds like it's more than just adding hegdish to the four. Imkain, ma'ilo baha kosav. If he's just making a simple point that there's a chiyuv for being mazik hegdish, why would he start with this whole introduction? No, the pasuk isn't coming for that. It's coming just for this. So it sounds like he's saying more than that. Firstly, I want to take issue with you, Rabbi Shmuel. You're focusing on the nizak's best. No. Loi baha kasav. The pasuk is not coming to let you get away with lower quality payment, the nizak based. No, it's all about the mazik. So it sounds like he's saying more than just a question of hegdish, no hegdish. Firstly, a fundamental machlekes. Pasuk is not coming for that. Nizak is coming for mazik's best. So it's clearly more than just hegdish. V'oid ma'ikav v'chem ela hegdish. Another question. If it were so, that Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Shmuel are in full agreement that you're only paying based on the nizak's best quality, so you're getting away with less. So why would Rabbi Akiva go ahead and say, well, certainly hegdish has the same halacha? You're saying a kula. You're letting him get away with less. So why would you say certainly by hegdish you get away with less? If anything, hegdish is more. You're more responsible by hegdish. If it's a chumrah, if Rabbi Akiva is coming to add something, it makes sense. And he says, well, certainly it applies to hegdish as well. I.e., you can't just get away with giving the idis or the nizak. You have to add, to give your best. And certainly by hegdish. Then it makes sense that he's saying certainly by hegdish gets that chumrah. So that's a raya l'chayra that Rabbi Akiva is adding more than just hegdish. Firstly, it's about paying your best, and certainly he says that applies to hegdish as well, because he's going with the shita of Shimon Menasya, that when we are mazik hegdish, we are fully responsible. V'oid, another question on your suggestion. Ha'amar of Ashi, Rashi tells us, Tanya behead, we have a clear brayse that according to Rabbi Akiva, we evaluate based on the mazik. Pasuk says, Meitav Sadeyu, Meitav Karma Yeshalim. Who's that? Whose best field? Meitav Sadeyu Shel Nizak, or Meitav Karma Shel Nizak. Diver Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Akiva Aimer, no. Not about the Nizak, it's about the Mazik. Meitav Sadeyu Shel Mazik, or Meitav Karma Shel Mazik. Clearly, there's a machlekes regarding the basic chiv of a Mazik. According to Rabbi Shmuel, it's the Nizak. According to Rabbi Akiva, it's the Mazik's best. And then comes the second machlekes regarding hektish. So let's just stop for a second and recap this Gemara. Mishnah says, "Hanizokin shaman lehem beidis." When it comes to compensating for damages, we evaluate, we appraise based on the highest grade properties, and that's what you pay. We pay tikkun olam, which sounds like it's just a drabanan, but it's minat Torah. Answers Abaye. We all know there's a machlokes between Rabbi Shmuel, who says b'denizak shaminan, and Rabbi Akiva, who says b'demazik shaminan. And according to Rabbi Shmuel, although minat Torah, you must only pay based on the best property of the nizak. But the rabbanon, we want to discourage mazikim. We obligate you to pay your best. This will hopefully present a real deterrent for careless behavior. Okay, so that's Abaye's pshat. Ravina Amar Lo'ila Masnisin Rabbi Akiva. No, our Mishnah can certainly be following Rabbi Akiva's shita. The Amar Medairaisa, but the Mazik Shaminan, he says Minat Torah. The Mazik gives his very best. Question: it's Minat Torah. Why does the Mishnah add the words "V'pnei tikkun olam"? That's going to act as a deterrent against reckless behavior. Why add that? The answer is Rabbi Shimon. Our Mishnah reflects Shitas Rabbi Shimon, who is a Talmud of Rabbi Akiva, the Darash Talmud Dekra, who very often presents the reasons for halachas, the reasons for the psukim, and integrates it into the halacha. And the Mishnah is simply presenting the rationale behind the halacha. Why? Why is it that a damager has to pay his very best? The answer to that is that the Torah requires them for the betterment of society, to protect us and discourage carelessness. The Sanya Rabbi Shimon, as we find a clear brayse, the name of Rabbi Shimon, Mipnei ma Amra Torah nezaken shamalan beidis. Why is it that the Torah obligates a mazik to pay his best? The answer is Mipnei Gazlanen, Mipnei Chamsanen, to protect against Gazlanen, robbers, and Chamsanen, another form of robbery. Rashi says he actually pays, but he forcibly pays for it. So the person should think twice and say, 1 second, what am I doing here? I'm robbing, but then I might have to give up my nicest property. Why am I involved in these activities? Tomorrow, after a while, Bezdin's going to catch up with me. They're going to enter my properties. They're going to repossess my best field. Based on the pasuk, so that's the rationale behind the halacha. That's why we say on Zaken, Shamalim Be'idis, that the mazik pays his very best. Okay, it's the end of story. Before we continue the brisa, this is the second pshat, or Ravina's pshat. The halacha of an zaken, Shamalim Be'idis, of course, is Rabbi Akiva's shita, Midairaisa. The words of Tikna Olam is just giving us an explanation, the background. Why is it that the Torah required idis as payment in order to discourage mazikim and gazlan? Now the brisa continues discussing the other aspect of the Mishnah, which was that Baal Chayv pays beinanis, medium grade, and by ksuvas isha we have a machlokes, is it medium or inferior? I'm going to explain all these aspects as well. The brisa continues. Why is it so that a Baal Chayv only needs to pay medium grade quality? Why not the best? Right? There would be reason to believe that just like the Gazlan pays the best, to discourage, carelessness, Baal Chayv as well, lest he willingly, fall into default and bankrupt himself, and let him give his best to deter irresponsible behavior. We have an answer for that as well. There's an opposite. There's a flip side to it as well. A factor in the other direction. We don't want people to take advantage of poor people. Imagine Reuven sees his friend in possession of this nice, beautiful piece of property. V'dir no, this nice house. And he's thinking to himself, how am I going to get it out of him? I can't do it outright. So he's going to scheme, figure out a strategy which will enable him to repossess his friend's house. V'yomer says, look, let me go ahead and offer him a loan. That when he defaults, I'll repossess his property. In order to protect against that, we say, no, you can't get his best. That's why the Chachamim determined Baal Chayv beinanis. A Baal Chayv only has to pay medium quality fields. Asks the Gemara, if that's the case, then go down to the worst. Trying to discourage people from taking advantage, and let's decree that the Baal Chayv only has to pay his worst quality. Im Kain, because if you go that far, it's a bit of extreme. Because at a noyel delas, you're going to be locking the door with Nei Levin in front of borrowers. Nobody's going to want to look at them. I'm going to lend you money. I'm going to end up with this abandoned, forlorn field. So we have to sort of strike a happy medium. We have factors on this side, factors on the other side. You have to sort of balance them all together, and you end up with a medium quality field. That explains that halacha. Again, the starting point of Baal Chayv is, well, actually the Gemara in Daf Nun says, Minat Torah, Baal Chayv only has to pay ziburis. But there would be a reason to believe that that he should pay the best in order to deter irresponsible behavior on his part. But to counter that, we have a factor going the other way, that we don't want people taking advantage of him. Well, then we say, okay, so give him the worst. Well, nobody's going to want to let, so we have to sort of come up with a medium, which is beinanis. When it comes to ksuvas isha, we say beziburis. How does she collect her claim? She gets the inferior quality property. Div Rabbi Yehuda, that's Rabbi Yehuda's shita. No, she also gets like a Baal Chayv. She's entitled to medium grade property. Now, Amar Reb Shimon, mipnei ma, amru ksuvas isha beziburis. Why does the isha get the worst? Why can't she get better? And in fact, there's an interesting Taisus in Daf Mem Chesam Beis, who adds another step to the Gemara. He says, especially if you hold that the Chiv Ksuba is Minat Torah, she's entitled to the best, to Idis, says Taisus. So why are we downgrading her? Why is she only entitled to Beinanis or Ziburis? Taisus says an interesting point. Just like we said before, by the Nizaken. sorry, by the Balchay, we say you can't collect the best because this whole thing might be a scheme, a ploy that you arranged to repossess his field. You lent it to him with that mindset. No. So here as well, maybe the Isha, knowing that she has a big ksuba claim outstanding, she has a big, potential ksuba to collect, so she'll agonize her husband. She'll get on his nerve, get on his case to divorce her. She'll facilitate, she'll trigger the divorce. That so she can collect his properties, his best properties. That's where the Chachamim deprived her of that entitlement. In order to discourage this type of behavior, similar to the Baal Chayiv situation. So then the question is, give her the worst. Go to Ziburis. And the answer to that is something called China, Chen. We want that, women should be drawn to marry men. Men should be attractive in their eyes. So the Chen factor doesn't allow us to deprive her completely. We don't want to feel like she's being taken advantage of. We can't go to extremes. So we can't give her the best, lest she take advantage of him. We can't give her the worst, lest he take advantage of her, and this perhaps will discourage women from marrying. So we have to find a happy medium again, which is Beininus. That's Rabbi Meir Shita, Beininus. Whereas Rabbi Yehuda says, no, she gets the worst. Ziburis. And on that the Gemara says, Amar Rabbi Shimon, Mipnei Ma Amru. Why is it so that we take her all the way down to Ziburis? Mipnei Ma Amru Ksuvas Isha Beziburis. What happened to the Chen factor? We're going to discourage her from marrying. The answer is no, don't worry about that. A woman will always marry. Why? You should know, more than a man wants to marry, guess what? A woman wants even more. She has that inborn need, almost critical need to marry. So don't worry about the Chen factor. Don't worry about discouraging women from marrying. And therefore we can suffice by giving a ziburis. Apparently Rameir disagrees. He says, we want to keep it reasonable, we're concerned about the Chen factor, and therefore we leave it at Beininus. Davar Achar, another aspect to discuss, and Rashi says, this is really a totally different point. Isha yoytel rotzoina, shloil rotzoina, you should know a woman can leave the marriage whether she likes it or not. Meaning, it's up to the man to divorce her. It's his decision, not hers. Whereas the man can choose to divorce her. It's up to him. Now, what's the point of this Braisa here? What's the Braisa discussing now? The Braisa means like this. I'm coming to address a totally new point now. A person could ask a question. Just like when he divorces her. Where's the fairness? Just like if he makes a decision to divorce her, right? She gets her ksuba payment from him. Likewise, kinafka ihi, let's say she precipitates the divorce. She's goyim. She stirs up discord and animosity, and she causes him to divorce her. So maybe in that case, he's entitled to a ksuba from her. Tkinu kinafkeihi, if she's the one leaving him, nami there as well. Liskini legs rabbanuk ksuba mino. Why can't he get a payment from her? And the answer to that is tashma. Big difference. Although she's making life miserable for him, but ultimately, who's making the divorce happen? Him. It's his decision. Isha yoytzel rutzoina, shloil rutzoina. She can be forced out, whether she likes it or not. V'ish einei maitzi el rutzoina. Nobody can force him to divorce. It's up to him. Efsha demashi lo begita. He can hold back the get. So ultimately, it's his decision. It's his choice. So he can't have any claims against her. Ksuva shisha b'ziburis. Let's just go back to that halacha. What does the isha collect from? Certainly not the best. I've explained the name of Tosfos. We're concerned that she might facilitate that. So we want to discourage that type of behavior. Right? She might precipitate the divorce in order for her to collect the ksuva, so we X idis. So what's left? Medium grade and inferior grade, B and C, right? So A is out, B and C is what's left. Rabbi Meir says we give her B, Rabbi Yehuda says C. Amar Zutra, Breder of Nachman, Lo Yamar Elami Yasmi. When do we say that the Isha will get Ziburis according to Rabbi Yehuda and Beinanis according to Rabbi Meir? That's only when he passed away. And she's collecting from the orphans, from the Yisayimim. And we know that when it comes to Yisayimim, everybody is only entitled to collect from their worst properties. We're going to see later in the parak about that. Aval minei de David Beinanis. But if she's coming to collect from the husband herself who divorced her, of course, all agree. She gets medium quality land. And as we explained before, because of the chen factor, we want the men to find favor in the eyes of women. Basically, we want to encourage marriage. Don't want them to feel like they're being taken advantage of. So, says Rabbi Zutra, all agree. If it's a personal collection from the husband, of course it's Beinanis. The whole discussion here in the Mishnah is when there is a collection from the Yisayimim. So we're out to protect the Yisayimim. That's a general halacha that the Yisayimim only have to pay their ziburas, their C-quality land. And that's Rabbi Yehuda's shita. And Rabbi Meir disagrees. He says, chen requires us to upgrade it a bit. Even by Yisayimim, we go up to Beinanis. Asks the Gemara, Ma Yeru Ksubas Isha? Well, according to this, we're saying that she's collecting from Yisayimim. According to Rabbi Yehuda's ziburas. Why is this specific to Ksubas Isha? Any collection from Yisayimim goes from ziburas. I feel kol milanami. Any type of collection would only be entitled to collect from the worst. Any collection from Yisayimim is strictly ziburas. El love me nice. So apparently the Mishnah is speaking about collecting from the husband himself. Otherwise, what's the point of discussing it? No, lo elam miyasmi. Certainly the Mishnah is speaking about collecting ksuba from the Yisayimim. Question is, why even discuss it? Well, ksubas isha is strichli. There is a point. There is a need to discuss that even ksubas isha from Yisayimim will be from Zibur. Perhaps I would think, maybe the chen factor would change the equation. Akilu Rabbanon Gabab. Perhaps that would dictate that the Rabbanon be easy on her, so to speak, and entitle her to Beinanis. Kamashmon, the Chiddush is that Rabbi Yehuda says no. Yisayimim give Ziburas even if it's a Ksubas Isha, even though there's a chen factor. So the Yisayimim factor override the chen factor. And obviously Rabbi Meir disagrees. Chen factor overrides. So bottom line, says Mar Zutra, this whole discussion pertains to collecting from Yisayimim, but of course she's collecting from the husband herself. The chen factor is paramount, and she's entitled to Beinanis. Amarav Tashma, another raya from the Mishnah again. Okay, that's Rameya's shita. She gets medium quality. Now, who's she collecting from? Miman, she's going to the orphans. Why is she entitled to Beinani? Less later, Rameya Desnan. Does Rameya not agree with the Mishnah, which says, any collection from Yisayimim is only entitled to Ziburas? So how can Rameya tell us Beinanis? El lav minei. So apparently we're speaking that she's collecting from the husband herself. Rameya says she collects Beinanis, and what did the Rabbanon hold? The Tanakama, Rabbi Yehuda, Mechlal, the Rabbanon Sav Rabbi Ziburas, and she collects the worst. So you see, even if it's a direct collection from the husband, there's a machlaikas. It's not so simple. That's a kasha mazrucha who tells us that if it's a collection from the husband, it's Beinanis according to all shittas. So tomorrow, no. Perhaps again we're speaking that she's collecting from the Yisayimim. And the question was, if that's the case, so why does Rameya say she's entitled to Beinanis? It's Yisayimim. Yisayimim gives Ziburas. The answer is, like we said before, Vishanik Ksubasishim Shemachina, Rameya holds Ksubasishim is different. There's a chen factor involved, and that overrides the Yisayimim factor, and she's entitled to Beinanis. Amar Rabbi Tashma was sort of backtracking the Mishnah itself. We started with a raya from the second part of the Mishnah. We moved back. Now we're going to the first part of the Mishnah. Our Mishnah. Anizak and Shamalan Be'idis, Avachayv Beinanis, Ksubasishim Beziburas. So we have three categories. Damages are paid from the best, loans from the medium, Ksubasishim the worst. Let's analyze the Mishnah. Who's collecting from whom? Is it a direct collection from the Baal Chayv, or is it from the kids, from the Yisayimim? Miman, Ilayim Miyasmi. Are these being collected from Yisayimim? Ma iri ksubas isha. So why is it that only ksubas isha is from ziburis? I feel kol haninami, any collection, any payment, whether it's ksubas isha, whether it's nizaken, whether it's balchayiv. If you say me, I'm paying it out, it's ziburis. Elav minei. Oh, apparently, if there's any distinction here, it must be that the collection is taking place from the person himself, not his kids. The mazik, the balchayiv, the husband. Now, what does the Mishnah tell us? Damages, idis. Balchayiv beinis and ksubas isha, directly from the husband, is ziburis. And Mazutra just told us, if it's a direct collection from the husband, it's beinis, chein, right? Amar of Achabar Yaakov, you're right. We're speaking that the money is being collected after the person did pass away. So the question was, so why is there any payment other than ziburis? Yisamim always pay ziburis, whether it's for ksubas isha, b'chayv, or nizaken. Listen to this. Givaldige shtickle. Hachav ma'askinim was speaking like this. Kigoy shenasa orev. What happened was like this. It was a father and a son. So Reuven is the father. He became an orev, a guarantor, a backup for his son Shimon. I'm going to pay any damages my son perpetrates. I'm backing up my son's loans. I'm backing up my son's ksuba with his wife. That's the father's kala. Kala means the daughter-in-law. So the Mishnah is speaking where there was a father involved, serving as an arev, as a backup, to guarantee all these different obligations. His son's damages, his son's loans, his son's ksuba payment. Now the son passed away. Right, in the case of the ksuba, the son passed away. So the claim is being presented to the father. Right? Right? The son passed away. Rashi says the son passed away in all cases. Whether he did a nezek, he passed away. He defaulted on a loan, passed away. Or in the case of the marriage, his wife is now an almana. So theoretically, we have three claims against the father: nezek, chayiv, and ksuba. And each one is dealt with differently. Why? V'haikidine, v'haikidine. Each one has its own unique way of approaching it. You see, when it comes to damages, that's something that a person can be chayiv during his lifetime. He broke the guy's window. It's chayiv. So at that point, when he inflicted that damage, his father's chiyuv kicks in. That activates the arev's chiyuv. So let's say son passes away after making that doesn't matter. The chiyuv was chal. The chiyuv arrived during son's lifetime. And what type of chiyuv was that? The chiyuv of mazik, mechayim. Idis, the best quality payment. He said, when the son defaults, at that point, there is a chiyuv that's triggered against the father, the arev. To pay what? Pay the loan. From what? Balchayv pays beinanis. So even if the son ultimately passes away, it's not like somebody's claiming against his kids, because this chiyuv already arrived during his lifetime, and the father is just taking over for that chiyuv. He's assuming that obligation. So when it comes to damages, when it comes to balchayv, father will pay like the son would have paid during his lifetime. Idis for damages, beinanis for balchayv. So again, nizaken of balchayv, when it comes to these two obligations, the mechayim govel is something which theoretically was activated during son's lifetime, even if in actuality it wasn't directly claimed, it wasn't actualized, but the reason for the chiyuv happened during his lifetime. Iyunami, so the father as well, when he's playing backup and he's paying for his arev obligation, ki magbi, ki mechayim magbi. So when it's collected as though son's alive. Because father assumed role of mazik. He assumed role of balchayv instead of a son. As opposed to ksubas isha, the lachar misa gavya. So when the son passes away, his wife is now an almana and looking to collect her ksuba. That chiyuv happens when? Only after he passed away. Right? At that point, who's the claim being presented against? His kids. Lachar misa. Miman gavya. Who's he going to claim from? Who's he going to collect from after he passed away? He asked me, from the orphans. So now, instead of directly going to the orphan, she's going to his father, who is actually obligated. He's the Arev. What type of obligation? What type of payment? Whatever the son would have to pay. Whatever the Yisraelim would have to pay. Iunami, Ki Magbi. So the same thing that the sons would pay, he also pays. So just like the Yisraelim would pay Zi Buris, right? Iunami Ki Magbi. Father as well, when he pays, Kalachamisa Magbi. He pays the type of payment that the Yisraelim would pay after their father passed away, meaning Ziburus. Beautiful. So again, Razutra told us that all agree when the ksuba is being claimed against the husband during his lifetime, it's baininess. We have the chen factor. We want to keep women getting married. We want to encourage them to marry. The whole discussion in the Mishnah of baininess and ziburus only applies to collecting from Yisraelim. So we had a couple of questions. The most recent question was, what do you mean? Mishnah speaks about a mazik paying the best, malchayv the baininess, and ksubas yisha the worst. According to Masutra, was speaking. So the worst is only when it's being collected from Yisraelim. So then, why would we pay edus for the mazik, and why would the Yisraelim of a balchayv pay the baininess? Yisraelim always pay the worst. The answer is no. We're speaking about collecting from a live person. The father is serving as an arev for his son's various obligations, his hezek, his chayiv, his ksuba. But there's a distinction in terms of the quality of payment. He's sort of taking his son's place. Whatever you would have paid, I pay, right? So when it comes to hezek, when it comes to bal chayiv, that's a mechayim claim. Son damaged during his lifetime. He borrowed money during his lifetime. So even though he subsequently passed away, but the chiyuv is the chiyuv can theoretically have come during his lifetime. So maybe even if the default happened later, Rashi says it could be coming mechayim. Nami, it could be nami mechayim shel ben. So it's not, by definition, it's not a after death claim. So when father was mechayim himself, when obligated himself, it was a during life type of claim, which basically means a mazik pays idis and a baininus pays and a balchayv pays baininus, and that's what he's going to pay, even if his son ultimately passed away. It doesn't matter. But when it comes to ksuba, which only gets activated upon death, and that's what happened. He died, and then the almana came collecting your ksuba. That ksuba's almana, by definition, is a post-death claim, i.e. to the Yisraelim. And father is just taking over the achiyah, a Yisraelim obligation, which is ziburis. That's why he pays ziburis. But of course, if a man just divorces a wife and she comes running to him for the ksuba, of course, says Marzutra, she's entitled to baininus. Now comes just a side point on this beautiful arrangement that we made to explain the Mishnah. Father was an arev for the ksuba. Question, but typically the arev the ksuba lemishtabit. Why is he even paying for this? We're going to see later in the Gemara that a person who serves as an arev for a ksuba, he's just trying to do a mitzvah, trying to get the marriage going. He's not really obligating himself. There's no real legal commitment here. So why is the father even paying for his son's ksuba? The Kabbalah was speaking that he did more than just verbally obligate himself. He's a Kabbalah, Rashi says. He actually handled the commodities there. There was some metaltalin that were being transferred to the Isha. The husband gave her some metaltalin, some expensive items to serve as a collateral. She took that and gave it back to the father, and he gave it back to his son. And that somehow obligates him, makes him a player, makes him a real party to the commitment. It's more than just verbal, it's an actual commitment through actual actions. And now he's really obligated to pay for the ksuba. That works if we follow the shita that says that an arev kablan, a more serious type of arev, commits himself even if the borrower, in this case the son who's obligated himself, has no assets to back up his commitment. Even then, if the Arev was a real Kabbalah and really, stepped into it, he is Mishtabed Shaper, so then that explains the Mishnah why the father is obligated. According to the other Shita, that even by an Arev Kabbalah, if the Leiva, the one who's obligating himself, in this case the son, the husband, is in possession of assets to account for his obligations, then the Arev is willing to accept as, sort of to guarantee it. So he's Meshubad. Ilesli Mishtabed, but if you hold that if the son has no assets to back up his commitments, then the Arev is not willing to commit himself. So if that's the case, if that's the halacha, then Michael Meimer. So why in this case does the father have chiyuvim? Evidently the son didn't have any assets at the time. Rashi explains how we prove it. So in any case, so why is the father obligated? So we have two terutzim. But the havali vishtadav, the son of course had assets at the point of the wedding, but vishtadav, they got flooded, they got ruined, and now the father has to kick in and back up the ksuba. But another teretz is kol agabe brei, when it comes to a father and a son, shibudah mishabed nafshe, in terms of his son, getting married, of course. What wouldn't the father do for his son? So to help out his son, get his loan or get his marriage, the father is mishabed himself, and therefore the father has to pay. Okay, let's briefly recap today's daf. Okay, the starting point is the Mishnah. And Zaken Shamalan be'idis, ba'chay be'beininis, ksuvasisha be'ziburis, me'oimraf ksuvasisha be'beininis. So mazik pays the best. Ba'chay medium, ksuvasisha C quality. The Mishnah says this is all me'tikun oilam. So there's machlokes of Rishon and Rabbi Akiva. Mazik pays best. Best of whose? So let's say mazik has A and B, nizik has A and B, and the nizik's A equals B of the mazik. Rabbi Shmuel says you only have to give based on the nizik's A, which basically means you give your B. Rabbi Akiva says you have to give your A. Okay, that's the machlokes. So how do you explain our Mishnah? We have two ways to explain. Abaye and Ravina. Abaye says, the Mishnah is Rabbi Shmuel, you pay the nizik's best, but tikun oilam, we obligate the mazik to pay his best, to discourage recklessness. The Ravina says, no, we're going to Rabbi Akiva. The mazik pays his best. The words, tikun oilam, that's a Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Shimon Darash Tama, the reason. Why is it that the Torah obligates you to pay your best to discourage irresponsible behavior? That addresses nizaken. Why is it Balchayv giving beinanis? Perhaps you should give the worst. Perhaps you should give the best to discourage irresponsible borrowing habits. But there is another factor going the other way. That perhaps somebody might take advantage of a poor man, lend him money to repossess his property. So you don't allow him to collect idis. Okay, so give him the worst. Well, nobody's going to want to lend money. So we strike a happy medium, which is beinanis. Let's move on to ksubas isha. According to Mar Zutra, when it's collected from the husband himself, all agree it's beinanis. Now, why beinanis? It should be idis maybe. Taisa says, we're concerned that she might be precipitating this divorce to collect on her ksuba, so we downgrade it. Well, why not ziburis? To counter that, we have another factor called china, chen. We don't want the isha to feel like she's being taken advantage of. So we upgrade her to beinanis. According to Rabbi Yehuda, no concerns of china. A woman wants to get married in any case, so we drop it down to ziburis. And that's when it's collected from the husband himself. When it's collected from the Yisayimim, so that's when it's collected from the husband himself, all agree, the chen factor overrides, and it's beinanis. But when you go to the Yisayimim, that's when we have the machlokes. That according to Rabbi Yehuda, we drop it down to ziburis because it's being taken from Yisayimim. Although we have the chen factor, no, we have the Yosef, Ramasha, Ish, Elisa. Isha is drawn to marriage more than the man. Leave it at ziburis. Don't worry about discouraging the woman. And Rabbi Meir disagrees. He says no, we have to up it to beinanis because of the chen factor. We had a couple of kashas from the Mishnah, which were answered. Now we started the sugya of Arev Diksuba, which will be continued by Hashem in tomorrow's share. All the best to you and Hatzlacha Rabbah.